going to be one of our students again. So nice to meet you. Associate VP over Drury goes.
Good morning. Oh, let's got some volume. I don't have to lean. We're going to start our ceremony in about 5 minutes. So when you're ready, please come take a seat, and we'll try to start at 11 o'clock promptly. Thank you to the Drury Brass Quintet. That was awesome. Good morning, honored guests, students, faculty, and staff of Drury, as well as members of the Springfield community. Welcome to today's Veterans Day ceremony. Please join me while we begin with an invocation led by our illustrious Aaron Jones, Chief of Operations for Drury University.
Thank you, and I'll apologize in advance. It is a letdown that I am not Peter Browning, but I will do my best to fill in for his place. So please bow your heads and join me in a moment of prayer. Gracious and loving God, as members of the One Drury community, as well as the larger Springfield, the larger Missouri, and the national community, we offer our praise and thanksgiving on this beautiful Veterans Day in the Ozarks. We gather today to honor our veterans, to remember the fallen who sacrificed their lives for this country, and to reaffirm our commitment to supporting men and women who have answered the call to serve. May we think about their overall sacrifice, but also about the positive interactions that they have provided with us in our day-to-day interactions with them. May all who work in the many branches of service know that they are valued. May the veterans know that we are grateful, and may all of us, whether active military, veterans, or civilians, do all we can to bring about a time when the global community can live in peace and justice. I offer this prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Aaron. When Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner 210 years ago this year, he referred to us as the land of the free and the home of the brave. Those words are as true today as they were then. Throughout this nation's history, America's soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and now Guardians, did you know the Space Force were Guardians? Have bravely answered the call to defend our freedom, to aid our friends and allies, and to turn back aggressors from our nation's shores. We can never fully repay our debt of gratitude to the more than 650,000 American service members who've died in battle, or the 1.4 million wounded. We can, however, recognize and thank the 25 million veterans still living today. These words, inscribed on the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C., apply equally to many of our World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, Gulf War, and the operations since the Gulf War, operations Enduring Freedom, and so on. The words are, our nation honors her sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country they never knew and people they never met. They apply to today's active duty service members who are tomorrow's veterans, helping maintain peace throughout the world. Today, it is our privilege to say thank you to all of America's veterans, to let them know that we appreciate their service and honor them and their families for their sacrifices. The price of freedom is high, and we cannot afford to forget those who are willing to pay it. Today, we celebrate America's veterans for keeping this nation the land of the free and the home of the brave. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. And now, Mr. Jones will introduce our guest speaker.
We are honored to have as our guest speaker today Sabrina Bonet. We first connected with Sabrina when she was working to help veterans find jobs at the Missouri Job Center. Originally from California and an Olympic-level swimmer, she joined the Navy and served in the Navy for 23 and a half years, retiring as a Chief Petty Officer. During her very distinguished service, she received numerous commendations, including 5 Navy and Marine commendations and a military outstanding volunteer service medal. She's worked at headquarters in New Orleans as a command chief. She worked with the Enlisted Personnel Analytics Center in Louisiana, and is currently a member of American Legion Post 1214 for women veterans. From the Drury point of view, she is the mother of a 2022 Drury graduate, and she herself is currently completing education at Drury University. We are honored to have as this year's speaker, Sabrina Bonet.
Thank you so much for having me. Dr. Jones, Barry, and also to Justice Ganaway, who's helped my daughter into her master's program at University of Cincinnati College Conservatory of Music. Of course, it's not for music, it's for makeup and wig design. So again, Justin Ganaway was a huge help with that. I didn't even have to fill out any paperwork. So paperwork was my job for so many years. I wanted to thank the band. Thank you so much for being here and the time, and to highlight our common bond of having served our country in defense of freedom and democracy around the world and here at home. The reasons we join are many and varied. My decision was spurred on by having what I decided was going to be the last little old lady ask me if everything was in the bag at Macy's. She said, "Well, I'm just going to check," and I said, "Okay." And she checked and she goes, "Oh, look at that. You're right. They're all in there." They were, at the time, size 10 drawers. You couldn't miss them. And she said, "You're right." And I said, "Imagine that." And I was summarily written up because you're not supposed to do that in retail. I decided that it would be on the Navy because that it would be something more, I needed to do something more noble than retail sales. So I decided to join the Navy because my grandfather, Winston Honeychurch, was a lieutenant in the Supply Corps during World War II. So I did that and went down to the Fresno MEP Center. And they don't tell you all the fun jobs there are in the military, the wide array of fields. They were mentioning EOD to me because of my swimming career. I was in the 1980 Olympics, the one Jimmy Carter, we boycotted because of Russia. I might have been an alternate, but I was ninth, so I didn't ever get my golden medal. But I did get my golden anchor in the military. But something about, they wanted me to go EOD, but something about bombs and scuba is far removed from the world of competitive swimming. I actually thought we had to do something we might already know about, so I fell into a customer service role and became a personnelman. At the time, I didn't realize this is a role where people only come to see you when things are wrong. No one comes to you and says, "Hey, I got my pay today," or "Hey, my travel claim process, thank you." They only come to see you when things aren't working. Of all the 5 branches, there's so many different platforms you can serve with. It's pretty exciting. All the different components of land, sea, or air, aircraft carriers to airships, Helos or Hercules, C-130s. That was my sea duty. VR-54 was a C-130 squadron, so I didn't ever have to go on a ship. And then United States Marine Corps Band to Marine Corps Special Forces, Army tanks to Army Rangers, and then Navy Seabees, Navy Corpsmen, and Navy SEALs. And while I was at VR-54, did you know there are SEALs who have SEALs? They're trained mammals for bomb detection, and they were actually in our hangar. Of course, my LPO did not bring me down there because he knew I was an animal rights activist. But they actually work with SEALs working with SEALs. So we were honored to house them overnight on the way to a special mission. As I said, you don't learn about them all up front. It's like, it's all about billets and filling the positions, kind of like your modern HR, Salesforce, all that good stuff. And the training sites around the country are very different too. Barry enjoyed Monterey, and I got to go to Millington. Woohoo! And in Millington, it's package stores and swampland at the time. But once you're in for a while, depending on your efforts and your contributions, there are new opportunities which come up to advance and become better leaders in specific roles. In the Navy, enlisted sailors work toward the goal of becoming a genuine chief. Often this includes doing everything else in addition to your main job, My main job was making sure everybody got paid, making sure everybody had their transfer orders right, had all their entitlements right. But it's doing things outside your role that help you make chief. So if you heard that term collateral duty, you have your job, but then you're going to do this and this and this and this too. Like in the military, it was drug and alcohol program advisor, casualty assistance calls officer, training officer, funeral honors coordinator, PT coordinator, got to have the physical fitness, urinalysis coordinator, got to have that, et cetera, et cetera. For myself, I was very fortunate to have the outstanding senior enlisted leaders and officers in all 6 of my duty stations. These men and women were leaders who encouraged us to go to school, take charge of command programs like I just mentioned, and do more than what was required of you or even what you even knew you could do, spur you on. They were the ones pushing you up the hill to advancement and sometimes even literally motivating you up the hill during physical training. After serving in Alameda a second time, I was able to return to New Orleans for a 3rd tour at the headquarters of the Navy Reserve. This was just in time for Hurricane Katrina, 2005. This was a ton of fun, with over 500 personnel and their families having to pick up and evacuate, and they went all over the country for the first 2 weeks. My office was in charge of processing over $8 million in evacuation claims. That means, helping them with their housing, helping them with just with everything. Fort Worth welcomed us, by the way, with open arms. I had to evacuate with 2 kids, 2 and 4, and a beagle. Went roundabout Natchez Trace to Alcorn State University. He said, "You don't need to be here," and back down to Homa, where my in-laws were, and then to Texas. But this was a 5-month stay in Fort Worth or Millington. I earned 2 of my 5 Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medals during this time for my work to help sailors, contractors, and reserve members obtain their earned entitlements, as well as defend their distributed monies. And this is before the scanners. So this was when they tried to say, "Oh, you owe this money," I had the documentation. So we disproved through an incredibly organized and non-electronic system of proper documentation to save them from having to pay $33,000 in false debt. "You're welcome," I said to them, and just imagine all that faxing. It was tremendous. I don't know if you've seen Office Space, but the day, I can actually still remember the day we got the scanner. I was so excited. So it makes things a lot easier, and I know it does for the administrators here too. So from 2005 to 2009, it was my privilege to serve at the headquarters of the Navy Reserve as the Pay and Personnel LPO under Craig McDonald, Rear Admiral, who I'm still in touch with today, and Admiral Lothrop Starbuck Little, and Captain John McCormick, and a Master Chief Appelt, and Master Chief Ken Rimmel, and a very tough senior chief, William Ellsworth Hoyt. They challenged me. They told me to go to school, go to school, go to school. Then I made chief and I didn't go to school. But I was in school. They allowed me to flourish, build, and lead a phenomenal team of volunteers with the Commander Navy Reserve Forces Command Cultural Diversity Education Team was the collateral duty that I fell into, and I fell in love with learning all about the local resources we had to highlight various cultures that had contributed to our military. It's still in place today. It's known as CDET. Of course, the headquarters got tired of evacuating and moved to Norfolk in 2009. That's when I moved here to Springfield and became the command chief of the Reserve Center here. The team based our monthly outreach and programs on the Defense Equal Opportunity Management Institute, DEOMI, and this is free material, as I've told my current employer, that you can get to celebrate special monthly observances. It's a federal program intended to educate military service people and highlight the contributions, and things that we may have not been taught in our states, different states. They have a calendar that lays out each month's recognition based on holidays and special cultures and their significance to the military each month. This was our guidance, and this established program was my diving board to jump off and really do something with the team. Using past sales skills in the retail world, I was able to invite many outstanding members of the New Orleans community and to share their stories with our staff of 500 personnel at planned monthly observances, all on the promise of meeting the Admiral and maybe getting a coin. Because there was no funding for this. This was a volunteer thing. It was a big confidence boost to have their full support of the Admirals and my Master Chiefs for all the ideas of guest speakers and performers. And I can go over a little bit of that because it was really an amazing time. And we made an impact on the staff. My first speaker in February 2006 was for Black History Month, and it was the late Dr. Gwendolyn Midlow Hall. If you've done any Black studies or gone into that field, she had just come out with she was a professor emeritus of the Caribbean and Latin American history at Rutgers University. She had just come out with her new book, Slavery and African Ethnicities in America, earlier that fall. And she also has a database in New Orleans where you can look up where your family came from. She's written 6 books, and she passed away in 2022. But she was amazing, and of course she brought her books. They were like, nah, I don't know, but I let her. And it was, people were just amazed at the history that she has contributed to documenting. March, of course, is Women's History Month, and I was able to discover the story of Kate and Jean Gordon, who were early activists for clean water, tuberculosis and all that, and child welfare, as well as women's voting rights. April is known as Holocaust Awareness Month, and we obtained permission to have a special showing of the Freedom Riders, not the Riders, R-I-D-E-R-S, but the Riders with Hilary Swank. So excellent movie regarding how the hate which grasped hold of Germany ended up killing 6 million Jewish people and 250,000 Roma, 2 million Polish people, and 3 million Soviet POWs, and 250,000 people with disabilities, and hundreds of men accused of being homosexual. So their hate spread quite a bit. May, of course, is Asian Pacific Heritage Month, Pacific Islander Heritage Month. This covers a wide array. And what was a surprise to many to learn that the highest decorated unit in World War II was actually the Japanese-American 442nd out of Hawaii. The regimental combat team, it was a segregated Japanese-American unit, is remembered today for its brave actions in World War II. Despite the odds, their actions distinguished them as the most decorated unit for its size and length of service. And I'm getting this from our wonderful World War II museum down in New Orleans. If you haven't visited it, put it on your bucket list, because it's an amazing. We did a lot of re-enlistments in there and retirements. And we did much more with May because you could. The first year, 2006, I had the Father Vienne, the Nguyen of the Mary Queen of Vietnam Catholic Church in New Orleans, come to talk about his parishioners and how they were coping with getting back on their feet. And they didn't necessarily want to go to the government because of the history of Vietnam. Everybody, got their mobile home, and the first thing they did was build a garden. And that was one of the things I remember the most about that. They didn't want to ask for help, but they were entitled to help. And he was just an amazing person. He was actually the pastor that went after BP for the oil spill, too. And then the next year we had Bollywood dancers. So we could do a lot with it, and it was nice to have the support of my chain of command. And then June is now Pride Month for the LGBTQ community. Back then in 2006, it had not been officially proclaimed, nor could anyone in the military be open about it with the don't ask, don't tell policy in place till 2011. As of June 2021, Juneteenth is also a federal holiday. The United States Capitol Historical Society explains the long history of this celebration coming into modern view. Basically, on June 19th, somebody was talking about Galveston. On June 19th, 1865, there were 250,000 enslaved people still in Galveston, and they had just received news of their emancipation. So marking a significant milestone in American history. So just in 2021, President Biden signed with members of Congress the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act at the White House. So this is another recognition that the DOMI does for June. You can do a lot with it. And of course, July we get to the celebration of America's Independence Day. Because there's so many different cultures which make up our America, I floated the idea in 2007 to use this end of the month to have a code competition for, and a / diversity fair. I was very much into Renaissance fairs. For the best representation of a culture through food, music, costume, art, and storyboarding. Everybody had a booth and they could do whatever they want, representing their culture or representing a different culture. And in New Orleans, this was really fun because everybody's, we had a wide array. I had sailors that would come to me. I had a sailor from China, I had a sailor from Nigeria, I had sailors from Ethiopia, and I helped them all get their citizenship as well. So it was really, really a fun event, and they still have it today. And of course, my department, the admin department, was made up of mostly WASPs, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, and one Nigerian. But we decided to go medieval on them and wore our costumes, the Renaissance Fair costumes, and had all the cheese and meat and bread and stuff like that, and the turkey legs and all that. And what won it for us is we brought in a bagpiper, so we sealed the deal. And that's the award that I was going to show you that we won. We couldn't have the mead. I was told no on the mead because I was like, what is the English Isles without mead? But we had so many awesome entries that first and second year with sailors, like as I said, and Samoa. It was an amazing time. And I think our security department was the one that got second place. The commander went full Cajun on us, and he was serving alligator and crawfish and, had all the swamp stuff out. So, and I can show you the trophy. This is the trophy. It's a little trophy that we jumped out for it, but it's covering the world. And this was what helped me make chief, by the way. And I am proud to say that Norfolk still has this event, the annual diversity fair, and it is like a code competition for a day off or something, but they do mostly food. Nobody's brought in a bagpiper since. August, of course, is Women's Equality Day, August 26th, and I was able to invite the local head of the National Organization for Women, an organization my mother and grandmother joined the year I was born and the year it started. And their purpose is to take action through intersectional grassroots activism to promote feminist ideals, lead societal change, eliminate discrimination, and achieve and protect the equal rights of all women and girls in all aspects of social, political, and economic life. We do have a local Kansas City now here. And September 15th to October 15th is Hispanic Heritage Month. I was very fortunate that we had, 500 sailors to choose from, and many were bilingual. So we chose Edgar because he was very sharp looking, and he went up to the embassy and just walked around, and all of the embassy administrative staff kind of just followed him because they wanted to know who he was, and so he invited lots of different countries to the September event that we had in New Orleans. And the next year we had I don't know if you've heard of the St. Bernard Parish, that's Chalmette, Louisiana. Oh, you going by the parish, is what they say down there, and making groceries and all that. But we had the Los Isleños, reenactors, and they're all in their costumes and everything, and they were the Canary Islanders who were brought to Chalmette, Louisiana to teach the Native Americans how to raise cattle and colonize Louisiana. But they were a fascinating history. I still have a contact down there in Chalmette because I just do, and I have the cookbook. So that was pretty neat. If you just look around your local area, you can find things you never would have known about. And then we just get to November as Native American Heritage Month. I think we did a showing of the Navajo Code Talkers, but we also had some locals that were part of the Mardi Gras Indians now, the Choctaw, the Sitamacha, and the Caddo tribes, so we had people talk about their family in that month. And then, of course, December was dedicated to pluralism, which is many religions existing without putting one over the other, recognizing the various religions of the world and in our own country. And January was Martin Luther King Day. And this was a fun part of the team because we got to go to the House of Blues in New Orleans and watch the kids recital, because they have a program where they lend instruments to underprivileged youth in the community, And then at the end of the year, after all the practicing, they get to do a recital. So we were there to spur them on. It's the International House of Blues Foundation. So we did that, Martin Luther King Day is a day on, not a day off. So it was this work with the collateral duty where I earned the Navy Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal for my outreach in the community and successful outcomes on the events. In closing, the veteran population of America has had an enormous amount of diverse missions, jobs, platforms, uniforms. They can't make up their mind on the uniforms. I still have blue cami, which they don't have anymore. It's all green. Equipment and geographical duty stations, while at the same time, veterans are made up of an incredibly diverse array of cultural backgrounds, experiences, and contributions to our shared country. Thank you for having me today. If you have any questions about my resources, I can share them with you. I would be very proud. And I want to, again, thank Drury for having me. It's been a little while since I spoke in public. But it is an honor, and I treasure the veterans of every era. And that's what we do with the American Legion. We make sure that they're recognized and remembered. So thank you, and have a beautiful day.
That was fantastic. Thank you very much, Sabrina. I had one quick note. The Drury Brass Quartet will now play the Armed Forces Medley. Please stand when the song representing your branch of service or the branch your family or loved one served in is playing. And I hope you recognize the different ones. We'll see how the mashup goes.
Here in a moment, we will have a moment of silent remembrance. As we approach this, I would ask that everybody here think about a veteran who is important to you. This may be someone you know, a friend, a close family member, or perhaps it's an extended family friend, or even an ancestor, someone that you never met, but you know of their service from a previous conflict. On behalf of the Drury community, we want to take this moment to make a special remembrance of my favorite Marine veteran, the late John Wilcox. Please join me in thinking about John and all other members of our veteran community with this moment of remembrance. Thank you. This time I would invite Dr. Jeff Frederick, the president of Drury University.
Wow, powerful. And thanks for telling me something that I had no idea, that SEALs actually can work with SEALs. I'm going to have to think about that for a lot. Thank you, everybody who's here today and who has been touched in so many different ways by those members of our community that have served. Freedom never has and never will be free. We all can agree on that. It's the selfless and effective resolve of the women and the men who have worn the uniform that have guaranteed our freedom for 248 years, since on a summer day we declared our independence. We are honored by the service of so many different types of Americans who have taken up the mantle of freedom, carried it across our country and around the globe, and are comforted, in fact, by the fact that they are doing that even so today. As we all do on a day like this, we think of our own families. One of my grandfathers was a United States Marine. The other served in the Army in the Second World War, as did an uncle, fighting in both Italy and in Germany, so that we could be here today doing what it is that we do each and every day, dreaming our own dreams, pursuing lives of our own choosing. I have a nephew who has served in the United States Air Force, as well as another nephew who's an aviator in the United States Navy. So, like you, I am impressed by the commitment of all the people that we know, all the people that we're close to, and so many that we don't even know, who carry the banner of American freedom all around our country and globe. I'll end with this. John Quincy Adams once noted the following: if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. I can't think of a better description of those who have served on this Veterans Day. Their actions inspire us to have freedom to dream our own dreams. Our veterans give us the chance to learn more on our own, to do more, and to become more, and they never even ask for the thanks that we so rarely offer them. Our veterans give us the chance to do so many things, and on a day like today, I thank them and remind us all that we should thank them every day, not just every November 11th. There are coins that we have to provide for our veterans who are here. I'd like to take a moment to give one to Sabrina and thank her for her time with us today. And I'll ask that others come up and have Barry to make sure that we provide these coins as well for others. And so with that, I will turn it back over to Barry to take us home.
Thanks, Dr. Frederick. I actually don't have anything to say at this point. We are we're at the end of our program. I see the postlude is the Washington Post. Is this a piece that you will perform? Fantastic. I thank you all again for coming today and for celebrating Veterans Day with the veterans that are here. All right. Thanks again, everybody. That concludes our program. There's some refreshments in the back. Sabrina and I will hang out, and we're happy to visit with anybody who has questions or wants to enjoy some coffee or cookies with us. Thanks. And if you're a veteran, please come forward. We have a special token of appreciation for you.